Well, good afternoon, LinkedIn and YouTube. You know what today is? Of course, it is Wonderful Wednesday, another great day to be alive, and another gift not only to receive, but to give as well. But you know what that means? It is Conversation for Humanity here at BHT. Of course, the video experience, and our special guest today is Mackenzie Flick. And she has been so humbled and honored to wanting to share her story with us today. So she reached out to me and said, Chris, how do I get on Conversation for Humanity? I said, you know what? Just click this link and there you go. That's all you got to do. And it was just that easy and everything like that. And I've had a great and engaging conversation with Mackenzie already. And I said to her, I was like, hey, not only can you come share your story, you need to be a part of bringing humanity together in and of itself. So, Mackenzie,
Oh,
how are you doing today on Wonderful Wednesday?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, Chris.
So, how is the weather in California?
Well, it's been a little rainy lately. And so people are starting to complain out here because everyone keeps saying they did not pay for rain.
How much rain have you gotten?
It's been on and off since December.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been because usually at this point in time, we see like a turnaround and have nice like beach day weekends. And it's just been like cold and dreary and everyone's been stuck inside. So
Wow.
yeah, I have a very rambunctious 4-year-old who's excited to get out and a dog who's not happy about not having part-time, but hopefully that will change soon.
What kind of dog do you got?
Cockapoo.
Nice.
Yeah, she's a
That
cute
is
dog.
nice. Big dog or a little small dog?
She's 25 pounds, so she's not small, but she's not big either. Yeah.
So he's kind of like in between.
Yeah, in between. She's a great dog. When my husband and I were living in Chicago,
Yeah.
well, we weren't even engaged yet. And he's like, hey, babe, I just got a job in California. You're coming with me. And I'm like, you think I'm going to leave my job, call my parents and say I'm moving to California with my boyfriend? Like, you're absolutely crazy. So I made him propose. That made him, he actually did want to. We already knew we were set. But I knew I could get just one more thing out of it. And I'm like, I really want a dog. And he's like, okay, let's do it. So we moved to California and that was our first baby together. So
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. I used to have lots of dogs, not only when I was a kid, but also when me and my wife got married and everything. And we had two poodles, and then we had a little chihuahua. And the poodles' names were Smokey because he had a gray smoky coat and everything like that. So he almost looked like Ash, so to speak, but we called him Smokey. And the other one, uh, I forget his name. It was Smokey, and I forget the other one because it's totally off my radar right now. But it'll come back to me in a minute. But the Chihuahua's name was Little Bit, and they all lived together for many,
how
many, many
cute.
years. They were just literally just a ragtag bunch because, like I said, the one poodle was almost not like a standard, like a big poodle would be. You know how those considered a standard, but the
Yeah.
two poodles that we had were kind of like the smaller poodles, but one's considered a standard in that framework because one of the dogs was really taller than the other, and that's just the way. Like I said, one dog, Spunky, was like this tall, and Coco, that's the other one. That's the other name, Coco. Coco was only like this tall, so they were very small together and everything like that. But they were just always so good. You could just take them anywhere.
Oh,
But I will say this: if you were passing by the apartment or you were having the door open and you had the screen door and people walk by, they would go crazy. Oh my God, they go, I mean, it just would not stop. And I'm like, come on, guys, it's only someone passing by. But they just kept on doing it.
I actually have a pretty fun story about how we got Charlie because I was a little nervous about getting a dog because my husband grew up in Nicaragua and they just have a different dynamic and relationship with their
Right.
pets. They're more just like outside dogs. And anytime they got a pet as a kid, it would like run off or get hit by a car literally within like a week. So he was associating more negativity with having a pet where I grew up like we always had pets. Like these were our babies. So I did some research and I knew I wanted a cockapoo because I just really liked the temperament and their personalities. And I was thinking my husband would probably very easily fall in love with this type of pet. I don't know why. I just knew. So when we got out here to California, I was searching all of the sites where you can adopt a pet. We didn't want to buy,
Right?
we didn't want to adopt, but I still really wanted a cockapoo. And there's a lot of
Oh,
so there's a lot of cockapoos that go up on the websites out here. I can't even remember what they're called anymore, but um, every once in a while you get a litter of these little dogs because
right.
my guess is there's probably some underground breeding that shouldn't be happening. They get sick with parvo, they ship them off to a
Mhm.
shelter, and unfortunately they get put down. Well,
Right.
it took me about a year searching, and it was like every single dog. I'm like, nope, 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 nope. Just could not connect with the dog. And it got to a point where it was my husband being like, just pick a dog. Like, I really want to get one. And I'm like, no, but it has to be like just right. And this one night, it was a Saturday night. We were at home, and this little cute cockapoo puppy popped up. And I go, like, right away, I turn my iPad around. I'm like, that is her. And he's like, oh, that's a cute dog. And I'm like, no, we have to get her. I go, I don't know why. I just know this is our dog. I just knew. So we call the place and they're like, oh, we've
Wow.
had the phone going off the hook like all night. Like she's going to be like adopted by the end of the day. And it was 4 o'clock. They're like, we close at 5. If you can get here now. And we're like, we're in Los Angeles. Like it's going to take us an hour and a half just to get there on a Saturday night. Like
Wow. That's a long drive.
no way. So they said, well, look, if you really want her, call us like 5 minutes before we close. We'll let you know if she's still here. If that's the case, then you're going to have to be here even before the place opens and be like first in line to get this dog. Well, I had a
Right.
job where I had to work Sundays at the time. So I like was getting my husband up. I'm like, you get there early, like you got to
Right.
get there, and he goes and he's standing outside of this place. And this woman finally comes and opens up the place and she's like, oh, who are you here for? And he's like, well, my wife and I are looking to adopt Acorn, which was her name at the time. And
Right.
she's like, oh, okay, well, come on in. And, they just start talking. And Javier said, like, the moment I picked up this dog, like, I just knew it was ours. So they start the whole adoption process and they get him the little collar, right? Where you put the name on and stuff. And she said, well, what are you going to name? What are you going to name her? And she's like, if you don't know right away, like you can go and just get this engraved at like someplace close to you. And he goes, no, no, no. Like we're going to name her Charlie. And she goes, oh, how weird. I had a dream last night that a young man who looked exactly like you was waiting outside of the shelter. And when I went up to him, I said, who are you here for? And he said, Charlie. And I was like, see, like you just know when you see your pet, if that pet is for you.
Yeah.
It's Charlie's been my little
Yeah.
soul dog. She's 8 years old now, but she's just been like the little love of our life. So yeah, I just want to share that story because I always thought it was a fun
Well,
story.
but that brings me back to my childhood too, as well, Mackenzie, because when I was very little, my mom and dad at the time, when they were still married, they wanted to have a pet, and I wanted to have a pet too. And they said, "Well, Chris, we're not going to get you a dog. We're going to get you a cat." And I was like, "Okay." So when I was living at the time, years before that, in Merritt Island, there was a landlord of ours actually turned into our neighbors and turned into our friends, and they had a litter of kittens, and they said, "Well, would you like to have one of the cats?" I was like, "Oh, can we, Dad? Can we do that?" And they said, "Yeah, we can get it." So we went back over to Merritt Island, grabbed the cat and everything, and I can remember to this day what we, what we did is we put the cat in the back of the car. The cat was so rambunctious when I was trying to latch the back seat, because this was back when we had a Ford Pinto. If you can remember those, that was like way back. And uh, the cat had its claw inside the little latch, the way you latch it at. And
Mhm.
I didn't know that it was there. So next thing I know, I was trying to latch the thing, and I heard this, "Wah!" And I'm like, oh my gosh, the cat's got his paw in the latch and everything like that. And my mom said, well, did you see that? I was like, no, I thought the cat was over here. And he went from one side of the car to the other, and I didn't even realize it and everything
Oh
like that.
no.
So we get him home and everything, get him sorted in and everything like that. And he was so jet black, but he was a Siamese Burmese mix, and he was just so cool in looking and everything like that. And I was like, I know what I'm going to name him. And my mom and dad said, "What are you going to name the cat?" And I was like, "Well, I love Star Wars so much, I'm going to name him after a bounty hunter. So I've named him Boba Fett."
Oh,
Yeah. So even though he doesn't look like a bounty hunter, he just had that kind of cool style about him, whatever it was. But it just really resonated with me. So I called him Boba for short, and everything like that, or Bobo. So either way, and he was just the most amazing cat. He of course kept the rats away, and sometimes he would trap them in our pool and everything like that, or even birds. Oh my God, there would be so many times we would see birds in the pool dead because they would be getting in the pool and they got nowhere to go because
yeah.
the cat's right there and everything like that. But he was really good about keeping all the kind of like bad things away and all that kind of stuff. But we used to live next to an orange grove, and
Oh.
one day when I was coming home from school and everything, and of course I had the keys to the house and everything like that, I let myself in, and my mom was doing something or whatever. Next thing you know, I go into my bedroom and he's on the bed, and he was breathing like in and out really really hard, and it was really excruciating, and you could hear it. And I'm thinking something's not right. So my mom was just getting home, and she was pulling into the garage from work, and I run out there, and I was like, Mom, I don't know what's going on with the cat. He's breathing really hard, don't know what's going on. So we hop in the car, take him to the vet, and it was like probably a 10-minute drive because we knew where to go. And next thing you know, as I was laying Bobo on the table to be looked at, he passed away, just like that,
Oh.
and everything like that. And they, of course, did an autopsy with them and that kind of thing, and it was really quick and everything because they could be able to do it and lickety split. So they did that. Come to find out that the Orange Grove people was laying out rat poison bait so the rats wouldn't get up the trees and start getting into the fruit and everything like that. And evidently, Bobo, of course, he knew how to come and go as he pleased, and he knew hopefully not to touch one thing or another. But evidently, that bait got into his mouth. He swallowed it, didn't realize it, and he ended up.
Oh, that's so heartbreaking.
And he was like about 10 years old when he passed.
Oh,
So it's one of those things you just can't control, but it really just
no.
really got to me
I
because
know.
like you said, when you do find that family, so to speak, especially when it comes to our pets, you know that they were meant for you, and both
Right.
of them really meant for me. And then of course, my mom and dad did have dogs down the line. They had a collie uh, named Lassie. So they had that one, and then they just got a new one now, and I forget the dog's name because I've not seen them in forever and everything like that. But they got back into the dogs and everything. But yeah, our pets are really amazing and everything like that.
Yeah, I
So
know.
what'd you do uh, with your dog? Did you just end up just taking him in, and it was just like a little bundle of joy, and he just like did everything and everything, did he?
Are you talking about my dog Charlie now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she just came right in. Like she's always been there. She's so cute.
Like I own the place now, not you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, totally. And it's funny at the time that we had brought her home and adopted her, my husband's brother just happened to
Yeah.
be staying with us just temporarily because he was moving from Kansas City out here to LA. So he was in transition before he can move into his apartment. because he started his job before he get access to his apartment. So he had this blow up bed in the corner of our living room for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. It wasn't that long, but he just happened to be living there when I brought this
Right.
dog home. And it's funny, I swear, like, these pets know who are total dog lovers. And it's
Yeah.
not that my brother-in-law is like doesn't like dogs. He's just not like a dog lover, you know, he's kind of
Just
indifferent.
no.
He's indifferent, right? Well, the first day that we had to leave Charlie, where both of us were working at the same time because we had some time where it was kind of split. We were like those parents who are like, oh my God, like Charlie has to be home by herself for like 6 hours. Like, you know, it was terrible. So we barricaded her off into our bedroom with the hallway. And I don't know how this little dog, she was like this big at the time, jumped like 3 feet on this thing and off. And when my husband got home, you know, Charlie, who's supposed to be over here, comes walking in from over there. And he's like, how did you get out? Well, she not only got out of her little pen, but she made her way to my brother's-in-law bed and suitcase, and she chewed on every single shoe. She pooped on his bed, and she chewed, and she was sitting there just chewing on his toothbrush, and we're like, oh my gosh. Like, we have to tell him. Like, how are we going to tell him? Well, that very day, I kid you not, he had gotten stuck at work. He didn't have his car in LA yet, so he had to take the bus. Something happened where the bus got stuck on the highway, so it took him 4 hours to get home. And only to come back before we even told him like what she did. He's like, yeah, it's just been a really bad day. He went over to his aunt's house to help her with something, and then their dog bit him that morning.
Yeah.
Then my dog like destroyed all of his stuff, and I'm like, what are the chances of that all in one day? And I'm like, Charlie has already like taken over this household. He's saying who she wants in here, who she does not want in here, and we just thought it was so funny, and we bring that up to him all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And Nancy's already said she misses her Dashy boy. And Nancy, we would love to hear from you. And yes, our thoughts and prayers of your the little fur baby and everything like that, because they are literally family in and of themselves. So please click that link, Nancy. We would love to hear from you. But it is about that time, Nancy, for you to come share your story on Conversations for Humanity. So it is now time. The show is yours.
All right. So I'm just going to take the mic then.
Okay, good.
You're talking to me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, for some reason I thought you were talking to Nancy still. I was like, okay. So I'm going to take over, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself and how I got to where I am. It's because it has not been your typical cookie cutter journey. And I might get into some weird stuff, but I'm here for it. So my name's Mackenzie. I founded my company, My Sulk-Me. But this wasn't my first venture in entrepreneurship. So about 7 years, I was working for a high-end sports club out here in Los Angeles. So when I say, you know, we had all the people walking through there. Like Mel Gibson was a typical person in my office, and it was so cool. But the thing that really interested me wasn't so much the celebrities that would come in here, but there were so many people who were just so wildly successful. And I would watch them, you know, and I would see them come in and do their routines, they do their workouts, they go to the business lounge, and there wasn't really anything that was outstanding about them, you know. And I started getting into conversations with people. I'm like, what do you do? How do you do it? That just seems really easy. And there was one underlying thing that was like the common denominator between all these people is that they just really believed that they could do it. Like that was it. They're like, yeah, I just wanted something better for myself. I knew I could do it. And we had like the founders of Caribou. We had people you would never know who they are. And they're building multi-million-dollar Amazon businesses. And I was like, you know, I can do that. I'm going to do that too. Like, I'm not any different than these people walking in and out of here. So I quit my job like just it was kind of out of the blue, and my boss could not believe I was leaving, and he pulls me over into the hallway and he's like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you gonna do?" Like, I had no plan. And I go, "I don't know. There's just something in my soul that just is telling me that I can't stay here." And in this moment, I kid you not, we get interrupted by Magic Johnson. And he shakes my hand and he's like, "How are you doing today?" And I'm like, "I'm great." And so as he walked away, my boss was like, "What are you doing?"
Oh my God.
And I'm like, "I know, but I just can't like keep my life on hold for these random moments to have my hand shaken by a famous person. Like
Yeah.
that's not like my agenda in life, right?" But certainly it was a cool experience to have. So I jumped ship, and there's this idea that always sort of sat with me was selling and designing plush toys. Like crazy. Like what? Like who does that, you know?
Yeah.
But I really felt like I could be really good at designing plush toys. And one of the things that I learned from a member at this club who was making just a ton of money on Amazon was he was telling me how he did it. And I was like, I really feel like I would be good at Amazon too. Like I just have that sort of strategy mindset. I get creative and I'm going to create these plush toys and I'm going to launch them. A member at this club who was making just a ton of money on Amazon was telling me how he did it. And I was like, I really feel like I would be good at Amazon too. Like I just putting repeated right now. Strategy mindset. I get creative and I'm going to create these plush toys. Hey, Chris. And I'm going to launch them. A member at this club who was making just a ton of money on Amazon was telling me how he did it. And I was like, I really feel like happening right now. Amazon too. Like I just putting repeated right now. Strategy mindset. Did you hear that? What was happening?
It was just her joining the call, and she had her microphone on, and that's what it was.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. That really threw me off. But okay.
Like, that's not me. I don't know what that is. Is there somebody else on this?
It's an issue on the StreamYard platform sometimes when someone joins the call and they have their speakers going, and that's what happens. That's what it is.
Yeah, there we go.
No worries.
Okay. Thanks, Nancy. Okay, so I decided to start with one plush toy, and I figured out how to get one toy manufactured in a high quantity. And I studied everything I possibly could about Amazon, like SEO, how to sell, how to get on the list. And when I finally got this first plush toy in, which by the way, I should mention what the name of the company was called. It was called the Farting Dog Company because all the toys, when you would squeeze them, they would fart. And I really just thought it was funny. And I was like, I don't really know like a company that just does farting plush toys. So I kind of had my little space, right? And I'm like, there's no way that this cannot be successful. So I launched this toy. And my first day, I made $500 off one plush toy. And within 2 weeks, I became an Amazon bestseller. And then I was running this company for about 4 years, and I was in about 250 retail stores across the US and Canada.
Wow.
And I wasn't like working with anyone else. I didn't hire anyone. Like this was all just on my own. And in this process, it was kind of a wild dismantling because I really put my full heart and soul into this company. US Canada. Oh, Nancy, can you mute again, please? I wasn't like working with anyone else. I didn't hire anyone. Like this was all just on my own. And in this process, can you mute, please? Thank you. Okay, thank you. I really took that venture as far as I possibly could, and I committed to it. And even my own mother, she was like, "Okay, I need to apologize to you because when you first said what you were doing, like I was so embarrassed. But like you really did something with it." And I'm like, "I know, but I'm not the type of person that really cares what other people think." I'm like, I want to do it and I think it's going to be fun and I think it's funny. And I ended up getting like a following in my Facebook group and Instagram and all that sort of stuff. But what happened was I ended up experiencing some major competitor sabotage on Amazon. Like, it really does happen.
Yeah.
And all of my listings got shut down. I kid you not, the week that I gave birth. And it was just pure destruction. And I just had ordered 10K worth of inventory sitting over in my storage with now no place to sell it while having a newborn. So when I say like this meltdown was like the meltdown, like panic, like I don't know what to do. This is my only source of income. And I really just had to get real with myself. And I was like, I can't run this company anymore. Like, I have a newborn. We entered the pandemic, and it was just such a labor intensive company to run because of all the plush toy stuff that I'm like, I really need to make life a little bit easier for myself right now. So I let it all go. And I ended up never even getting my listings back online. Like, Amazon was a real headache for that kind of stuff. It's like you get one red flag, even if it's not your fault, and they really limit your capacity to sell. So that was a really huge learning curve for me. So I was able to get a couple listings back on, and then it took me 2 years to sell the rest of my inventory, which then kind of worked out because it gave me just a little bit of monthly income while I went back and I got my hypnotherapy certification. Because I really just came to this point where it was kind of this do or die mentality, honestly. It was like, I'm either really going to do what I want to do, or I'm just going to go back and get a job, And one of the things that I've always been really inspired to do and talk about, of all things, is reincarnation. And I got over on TikTok and I started talking about reincarnation, past lives, and I blew up. And I was like, I really think there's something here, which is what prompted me to go get my certification. So I had a legitimate business platform to work off of. So that's really what I've been working on for the last few years is how do I create practical applications for this type of healing? And that's how my Soul Kami was born. Because people are stepping into an awareness right now, deeply, that there's so much more to them than this current reality. There's so much more to them than this current lifetime. And that we carry so much with us through all of these different lifetimes, through karmic patterns, fear patterns, belief systems, and we're ready to let it go. Mm-hmm. And I'm really seeing that in my past life healing sessions. There's definitely a common denominator between all these people getting on my calendar too, is that they're just ready to let it go. And people want to start stepping into that higher purpose and really being able to express themselves in not only an authentic way, but tap into those highest human potentials, but they don't quite know how to do it. And it's like we have all these courses and all these go-to things all over the internet. You can take a course, but people really stumble when it comes to the application of it. So that's what I've been building. I have a program called the Alchemist Ascension Program. I have, obviously do single sessions, and I've been running workshops the last couple years where I really get my hands on working with people, showing them how to do it. And in fact, I had an old client on Zoom yesterday. We were catching up on some things, and there were some challenges that were coming up for her. And I was so proud of her because she just started going off on her own. She's like, okay, I need to do it like this. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to connect with this person and we're going to clear all this stuff up. And I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted you to do. And I was like, she's just excelling so well. So, yeah, that's my story and how I got here right now.
Wow. And for you to not only meet Magic Johnson, but didn't you say you also met Mel Gibson too?
Yeah.
How did you pull that off?
Well, he was just a member of the club. He just would come out hang out all day. So
Wow.
so my role was membership advisor. So I would advise, people who were inquiring to join, like my job was to get them to join, but then naturally the current members would come to my team for things, which you would want to help them because then you want their referrals and stuff. But Mel Gibson would come in, and I know he doesn't have the best reputation, but he was seriously one of the nicest members to everyone in the club. So
Yeah.
let's give him kudos for that. And he would always come in and show me his like new stuff he's working on his phone, like little reels and all that.
Wow.
It was really cool. I was really excited by that just because, it was just a cool experience and getting to see sort of behind the scenes stuff in Hollywood. And one of my favorite calls too was the front desk called me because it was my turn for a lead walking into the club. And the front desk guy was like, "Hi, Mackenzie, I have Nellie at the front desk." And I go, like, "Nellie, like the singer?" He's like, "Yeah, he wants to join." And I go, "Okay." It was so cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty.
My gosh.
Yeah. And then,
When you really think about it, though, Mackenzie, when you meet those kind of people, they're probably no different than us in and of itself. And that is an amazing thing. Nancy, how are you doing today on Wonderful Wednesday?
I'm wonderful. How are you all?
Oh, we're doing great. We're just having a great conversation with Mackenzie. Glad that you could join us and everything like that. But we got to hear about your dog too as well. What happened to yours?
My dashy boy. I'm going to show you. I'm a hoarder right now. I'm no, look behind me. This is so embarrassing. Here, let me give you a tour.
There you go.
Oh my God. So this life is such a journey, isn't it? I sold my house in an affluent part of Denver and I bought a new house. And the LA investor is such a dick. Sorry, excuse me, clean up my language. He is buying the house, the townhome in this affluent community for his daughter who's going to med school. And my daughter is in her residency. She's in Palm Springs as a surgeon.
Oh, interesting.
Just ended a night shift pediatric surgery round. She hated it. But she's a Soviet worker, like I raised her. And so it's like, it's just this short stint. Now she's back in the major medical center at, I don't know what the name is, in Palm Springs. And she's back in general surgery. She wants to go into urology. So I know this journey. Med school starts May 1st. This guy wants my place now. Mm-hmm. And what he did was he found out interest rates were at 7%. And he said, "No effing way. I'll pay in cash. Nancy, get out." So I close on Monday. I busted my butt yesterday getting all this crap out of my house. It's organized chaos. All my cleaning supplies are over here. My desk paperwork, thank God everything's online now, for our papers and our statements. But I got a lifetime of, electricity bills to shred. And we've all been there. I've got these boxes of crap that I have to go through, old wills, old mortgages. Excuse me. And so I moved all my stuff in here over the last couple weeks. This is an Airbnb near what's called Cheeseman Park. Oh my God, it's the most adorable. I should share with you guys the picture of my neighbor. I swear to God, I thought he was gay. It doesn't matter because this is like a gay enclave here, and that's great. Lots of fabulous people, and but he wears an ascot. Who wears an ascot?
My gosh. There'll be more stories from you, Nancy. I can already tell you already. That's going to happen.
My God.
I can see you come sharing your story at Conversation for Humanity.
So listen, bottom line is my dashy boy, Cardigan Welsh Corgi, that's not the Queen's dog. This stands a little higher. They're from Welsh land in Great Britain. Corgi with a tail. He was a brindle, piercing eyes, and a great, like, short, but always was mistaken for a shepherd. What are those black and white shepherds?
A German Shepherd?
No, the like a German short hair or a
the one that you actually see herding sheep and all that?
Yes. What is, you know what I'm talking about, Chris?
Yeah.
So I got him as a pup. It's the first dog I've ever had. Same kind of story that you were telling, Mackenzie. The dog picks us, my husband and me and my little girls. Lauren was 7, the surgeon. Monica lives in Brooklyn. She's an engineering manager. And she and Lauren loved Dash. Dash, though, saw Lauren as the puppy of the family and proceeded to jump all over her and bite her. Mom, why is Dash doing this? You have to be large and in charge. Show him you're the boss. And he lived to 13. One day, I was a stay-at-home mom. I was a volunteer in the community. And I mean, I'll tear up just remembering it. It was horrific. I heard a clatter in my suburban Seattle home, and he was having a stroke.
Oh.
And a massive one. He lost feeling in he couldn't get up. I was in a panic, but I'm such a bitch. I didn't want him in my Audi, soiling it. So I start up our pickup truck that's just for gardening, pick up this dead weight, throw him in the back, scream down the hill because we lived on a plateau to the vet's office, got him in there. We'll give him anti-seizure medication. It actually was a seizure he was having. He had a brain tumor.
Oh, poor guy.
What happened? He would start staring at the wall and we'd be like, old man, snap out of it. And he lived for a few more hours and then we had to put him down. It was worse than losing a family member. Because you know what? At 15 or 14 or 13, they're like children.
I know.
Yeah. Well, see, I can relate, Nancy, because when Coco passed, when I got home from work one day, my wife was at the pharmacy still, and when I walked in and I went into our bedroom, his neck was literally crimped like this, and literally was just that way. And we didn't know what was going on. So, of course, I took to the vet and said, what happened? He ended up having a stroke.
Okay.
And it just really blew my mind. And then, speaking of what you were saying to your dog, though, Nancy, about just staring at the wall, our Chihuahua was kind of doing that very same thing. He would stare at the wall, literally, because he was starting to go blind in his eyes, so he would run into the walls and everything. Right. So that really just tore me up to see that. But again, I just truly believe the people and animals come into our lives are really something that is of great meaning and inspiration. But I want to go back to you, Mackenzie, because you did come up with that great company name of having the Fart Dog Company. How did you even come up with that? How did that even come to pass?
Okay. It's going to sound a little wild, but I was toying with the idea of selling plush toys for a while. But it was like I couldn't quite get what it was. Like, what am I selling exactly? What kind of plush toys? What's the message, the branding? Couldn't quite put it together. Because I wanted it to be like the best plush toy, but what was going to be that selling point? And I actually gave up on it. And I said, I'm like, universe, if you want me to pursue this, I'm all ears, but I can't consciously keep trying to push this idea. It's just not going to happen. So I let it go and actually said out loud, I'm like, universe, give me the idea. Okay. 2 months later, I had this dream that I'm standing in these clouds and the most gorgeous looking stuffed animal toys were floating in the clouds, and I would go up and I would squeeze them and they would fart. And the name, the Farting Dog Company, came through in that dream. And I knew it. And I actually woke up my husband in the middle of the night and I go, I know what it is. I'm like, it's the Farting Dog Company. He's like, what?
Oh,
I'm gonna sell plush toys that fart. And he's like, cool. And then he like went back to sleep, you know? And the next day I, you know, brought it up again. And he goes, I really do think that would work, actually. I go, me too. So he was all supportive of it. And that day, like that morning, I started researching how to get things manufactured. Like I was on it. I was so excited. But that's how I came up with that name.
Wow.
That's cool.
Now, I can see the social media behind that. I can see it now. You walk, like to your point, Mackenzie, it just came hit me like a ton of bricks. That you're walking and you're seeing that storefront and you're seeing that dog toy store or whatever, and you can literally touch it, and then next thing you know, you come out of it, but then you walk along the sidewalk, and of course maybe you have your dog with you and that kind of thing, or dogs depending how many you got. But I can see it now. Every so often, you want to play with your toy? There goes the fart, and everyone will be looking at you and like, not me, it's the toy.
Yeah.
And everything, and that really gets me. But to your point of that dream that you have, and I want to pose this question to both you ladies. Think about this: is an idea powerful in and of itself, in its own regard? Because again, when you had that dream at that early morning hour, and you maybe even took the action upon it, was that really kind of that starting point that you said, oh my God, it literally only waked me from my slumber, but it gave me that opportunity to act on it?
Mm-hmm.
What say you, Mackenzie?
Well, are you asking, I guess, what's the question exactly?
Is an idea powerful?
Is an idea powerful?
Yeah.
And like powerful enough to do something?
Yeah, that be called to act.
Yeah. Well, I think the disconnect for a lot of people is they don't know how to follow through with it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Because you have a lot of dreamers and you have a lot of big ideas, but then that's kind of it. Like there's no action behind it. Because I always say it's like you're always equipped to do and what you need for your highest purpose, always.
Uh-huh.
But people always think that somehow that's just mapped out already when the universe is literally handing you the tool to do it. But then you like kind of look at it and you're like, well, I don't really know what to do with it. And they like put it on the table and then they don't do anything,
Right.
you know? So you have to be intelligent about taking the idea and pairing it with something that is actually practical.
Uh-huh.
Because my whole approach, and I think why I was successful with the company at the time, was that I did take it step by step. I started with one toy and one toy only, a giraffe. And what I did specifically was, again, here's the practical. I didn't just choose a giraffe for the sake of giraffe. I did a lot of market research and I found that the giraffe is the most high selling plush toy on the market of all.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, people are already buying giraffe plush toys. Why don't they buy from me? Is kind of how my approach was with that. So I designed this plush toy. Then I knew exactly what listings where I wanted it to place, like keywords and all of that. And I had a plan. I had this whole thing set up where I would give away free toys. So I would give people discount codes so they get it for free. And so those listening to this, be careful because you're actually not supposed to do this for reviews, but there's ways around it, like because they don't want people paying for reviews sort of thing. But I didn't advertise it that way. It was just like a celebration of this launch.
Yeah.
So I would get someone a free toy and then I would reach out to them after. I'm like, how did you like your toy? I would love a review. And then kind of carried the like new entrepreneur story. Like it would really help me. So every time I get a review, it would rank me like, because Amazon was like, oh, wow, she's really selling, you know? So I would move up the listing. So if someone were to search like giraffe dog or giraffe plush toy, I would be on that front page. And then that's how you make all the sales. So I was really strategic in how I did it. And then once I figured out how to do that, I replicated it and I added an elephant and a sloth. Those were the other two high selling toys.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I love
Nancy,
it.
I can see how we're going to go with that, but I got to ask you, Nancy, again,
Yes, sir.
Is an idea powerful?
Is the idea powerful?
Is a idea powerful?
Is an idea powerful? Of course it is. But how we execute it, like you're talking about, I very much am listening to the universe now. And what's this fire hose of blessings and curses coming from the universe? And it's confusing, and it makes me go here and there and go to my old house and pick up crap and, you know, call the landscaper to get to my new place. It's spring, got to plant the grass. My mind and my task list is all over the place. And while I'm looking for another job, I also want the universe to help me with discernment. Can I tell you a story?
Sure.
I'm on also a faith journey. Do both of you have any faith life in your past or currently? Jewish, Muslim, Christian? No. Well, you're California, so.
Well, no, I grew up in Wisconsin, but I mean, I have a lot of spiritual faith, but I'm not connected into
an organized
religion or anything like that.
Yeah. And how about you, Chris?
I kid you not. I'm glad you asked that question, Nancy. The faith that I connect with is the one thing that really I truly believe interconnects us all, which is the living force. There's a living force that really connects us.
And there's evil.
And that's what I've always been kin to. I do believe there's a higher power, but however you want to call it, that's up for you to decide, not for me.
Correct.
And everything. And I just tap into that. That's what I really look to.
Yes. Amen. So you guys, this was, I'm still shaking with anger because I decided as part of this faith journey of I was raised in the ELCA Lutheran Church, Mackenzie, Wisconsin. There's a Lutheran church on every corner, right?
Right.
And a Roman Catholic church.
Yeah.
A few synagogues thrown in, but basically it's Midwest, you know. And so, and Denver's a lot like it. I'm 4 years here, and there's a church or synagogue on every block. Seriously, every denomination possible. Cathedrals downtown that, you know, I come from secular Seattle, where I lived there for 30 plus years. I was president of the church council there of a Lutheran church, and it was dying. And in fact, we sold the property. I left Seattle and divorced my husband. God bless him. He's a great guy, but we just split apart. We grew apart. And I wish my daughters would talk to me, but that's another talk, Chris. That's another talk. So I decided I'll Google search on Saturday. And now the churches are all online, you know, and they got their welcome centers and, you know, here we are and here's our philosophy, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, they kind of dance around some theological things. And if you're raised in traditional churches, you know that there are some euphemisms. You know, we're biblically based. Okay, you're homophobic. Next, you know, and so I went to this congregation after contacting them, and Pastor Miguel sent me a text. Oh, you guys, I can't tell you, this is the truth. You can't make these things up. So Pastor Miguel texts me and says, see you Sunday at 10. And Nancy's always running late to church because the hair doesn't blow dry fast enough. And so I'm screaming in my BMW across Denver. Have you ever been lost where the numbers are going up? The numbers are coming down. The numbers are going up. I could not find this damn place. And so finally, there was a church, the Lighthouse or something like that, in a warehouse. I'm like, F this, I'm pulling over, I'm smoking, I'm stressed. I don't even smoke much. But it was just, I was stressed. And so I pull in, strike. I posted this on LinkedIn, by the way. Nobody's commenting. I got to get your perspective on that, Chris. But I laid this out. Strike one, no visitor parking. In my congregation in Seattle, oh yeah, you had visitor parking because they're always running late and their kids are always screaming, I don't want to go. And I've been there. And number two strike, Pastor Miguel said, stop by the welcome desk. I'm like, where's this? There's no welcome desk. And he's like, there's a bag welcoming you. And there's a t-shirt and a gift. Nothing. So then I go into the service and it's your platform, big screen TV, worship team going, blah, blah, blah. So I sit through the first song and then they turn up the lights, and in traditional, Christian way, it's like introduce yourself to the neighbor. So I introduce myself to the neighbor. Oh my God, you guys, I can't make this up. Grace, who had no grace, shakes my hand and her friend leans in too. And I said, I've been around the block with the Lutheran Church, you guys. I'm going to cut to the chase. I have friends who are gay and lesbian. They're probably the most dedicated parents and partners you could ever imagine. No judging on you, but before I waste my time here, what is your church's stance on homosexuality? Well, we're biblically based. All right, well, I'm out of here. I stood up and I left. Then I finally put Pastor Miguel's on my GPS. I'm on the clear other side of town. Denver streets are set up in a grid, and I was in the 5500 East Evans. I had to go to 5500 West. So I get there. Number one, there's guest parking. Number two, there's the welcome desk. There's a bag with my name on it. And I go in and it's an hour into the service. And if anybody's Catholic or understand, Catholic services don't go on for more than an hour. We were already in there an hour and he's on his homily, his sermon. And my friends laughed and said, no way am I going to that congregation. 1 hour is long enough. But when you've got a congregation with a lot of singing and stuff, that's what I'm used to. It was very liturgical, meaning it followed all the steps of benediction and communion, but with a modern twist. Bottom line is, I had a wonderful conversation with Pastor Miguel. I left the next day. I called him and I said, what a blessing you are. Smart man. The sermon was from 1 Corinthians, and it basically was get off your ass and serve your community. Who cares what the people are suffering? Your next door neighbor is suffering with drug addiction, with depression. Go out and serve like Jesus did. And I was so moved by what he had to say, but I called him the next day, thanked him, and then I had to drop the bomb. Pastor McGill, I don't know about your denomination. What's your stance? I gave him a sizable donation, you guys, but I'm not going back. They're homophobic. And this is what's contributing to hatred in our world and war. I don't know. This is a ripe subject for arguing. And I'm not here to plant that as an argument about religion, but certainly the Palestinian issue, the things going on in Gaza, the things going on around the world with tribal warfare in Africa and in Papua New Guinea, it's because we don't love each other and we don't recognize the suffering that each are facing inside. So that's it.
All right. I love that. Thank you so much, Nancy, for sharing that with us and everything like that. Because when you really think about it, Nancy, everything does happen for a reason, and I truly believe in that. But I really want to go back to what you shared just a second ago, Mackenzie, about, because it just hit me like a ton of bricks. How did you even come up with the elephant and sloth? How did that even come to pass? Thinking, because you started with a dog toy for like just maybe a dog, but then how would you get it just hit me like anything. How would a fart from an elephant sound like? And how would a fart sound like from a sloth?
Well, they all had just like generic fart sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought. Actually, it's kind of funny because it was a little bit more complex than I thought, because I had to go to specific like sound sites where
Right.
you purchase sounds, and it took me forever to dial in on what farts I wanted to buy.
Yeah.
And I was like sharing with my friends and stuff. I'm like, okay, which is a funnier fart, this one or that one? And of course, I can't tell you how many people I had that were like, I'll donate my fart sounds to you. And I'm
Oh
like,
God. Oh my God.
I'll
Oh
pass.
my God.
I'm like, I will pass on that, but thank you so much for your kindness, you know?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's
And I was just laughing the other day too. I was looking at my LinkedIn and I was like, it might be time to clean up my playlists, because I literally have a playlist that just says farts. And I'm like it's like that company is done. I think I could delete that playlist now. Like I don't need it.
that is
Wow.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're a girl after my own heart, because my ex of 4 years on and off, we broke up, but I would just let her rip. I said, I'm being a lady.
We're taking this conversation to new heights now.
Oh my God. You know, it always has to go back. It goes from religion. I don't even know why I brought up that story, quite frankly. Sorry about that. But that is hilarious. Well, congratulations on your success.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, part of me still feels like slightly heartbroken that venture didn't work out, even though I know it wasn't supposed to. But you know, I just had really big dreams for it. Like I really felt like that could go really big, and I just didn't have the support at the time. So part of me feels like, you know, if it's supposed to come back to life, it will. And I thought it would be really cool because obviously I have a spiritual development combined with professional development platform, right? I'm like, well, what if I went into more kids stuff and like gave in like confident sort of stuff?
Yeah.
And it would be, I could have a book on like everyone farts kind of thing. I know that I think there's like that. But I could
there's a book, Everybody Poops.
Yeah. And then I could bring back the plush toys again because they were really cute. They were really funny.
I kid you not, Mackenzie. It just hit me with a ton of bricks. You know what we should do? And of course, I know you love not only the personal development thing and the spiritual development thing, but also the human development thing that I mentioned to you before. But that just came to me in and of itself. And maybe we can resurrect this in and of itself. I can see this happening. Donate a fart. Here's how.
You don't want to do that, Chris. You don't know.
No, seriously, hear me out. Just hear me out on this. Take it from this kind of thing, because think about your toys, okay? Of course, you had the dog, you had the elephant, you had the sloth. I can sure you could probably end up doing more with this, but here's why. Because I can see it from even a social media standpoint. And yes, like you said, that you was wanting to buy those sounds, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I heard it. The elephant, of course, would do that thing they do with the trunk, and then they do that sound and everything like that. But then there'll be a big pause, and then next thing you know, you hear the from the elephant. I can see that happening. Now how a sloth would do it, I really don't know. That's kind of, I'm still thinking on that. But I think it would be kind of nice if you was to be able to just put it out there on social media, just for, I don't care if it's just for giggles alone, and to get people laughing. I would put it out there, Mackenzie. Donate a fart. Here's how. I think they would just have a blast, just like, hey, how can I donate?
Yeah. Well, you know, when you go to Build-A-Bear, you can put sounds in the plush toys.
Right.
You can record your voice.
Okay.
Like instead you record your fart and then you put it in
Yeah.
your plush toy.
And they still have those around, if you can believe it or not.
I know. I took my son to one and he loved it. But yeah.
But yeah, I want to get your thoughts on that. Can we do that? Can we build that back?
I don't know. I'm not doing that though. Trust me, you are gonna get stuff you don't want to hear.
Mention that to your husband. Hey, honey, you want to donate a fart?
He would never. He would be so embarrassed if I even suggested it.
Oh God, I needed this. You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
What is the point?
Put that out there,
what is the point of today's session? I'm so flipped.
I don't know anymore. I think we went sideways and more today.
But that's a good thing, though. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing, because when we can really just be ourselves, and that's all we should really understand that.
Oh, Chris, I'm going to make you laugh. You ready?
I am ready, ma'am.
I had two things booked at this time. You and something called the Purpose Company. And I don't know who the Purpose Company is, but I signed up on LinkedIn for some Zoom meeting or Chrome or God knows where. I got an Android phone not talking to my Apple. There's all these apps that drives you crazy, right?
Yeah.
And everything needs updating and So anyway, I get a call from John and I thought it was you, Chris. So I'm like, Chris, how you doing? I'm watching you. And he's like, you're not watching me. I don't see you. I see you're trying to come into this meeting. And I said, no, I see Mackenzie. She's talking about plush toys. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I went, oh my God, I'm double booked. Who are you? You keep calling me Chris. You're not Chris Berryman? Nope. I'm John Stossel, or I'm not Stossel, but I'm John. So I Google search, and you could Google search the Purpose Company. It's a lot in alignment with you guys, with your missions, but it's a little different. Have you ever heard of them?
Never heard of them.
Okay, so it's same kind of thing, a subscription. I'm spending money on you guys like a drunken sailor, but it's the time in my life to figure this stuff out. And he finally goes, you keep calling me Chris. I'm not Chris. Well, who the fuck are you? And so then he goes, I'm sending you a link to Zoom or Google Meet or something. And so I click on it and it doesn't connect. And he finally just stayed on the phone. I said, how many people are in this meeting? He said, it's just you and me. I said, what the hell did I sign up for? And apparently it was an interview for the Purpose Company. And their mission is to help people find and refine their purpose. Mm-hmm. And I did my elevator speech. I swear to God, Chris, I was talking to you. Because he was saying, tell me a little bit more about you, your background. You started a nonprofit. I see, Nancy, on your LinkedIn profile. And I went on to explain, and there's whole other stories with that. I want to do a stand-up or a TED Talk. So that's what they do. Their purpose is to work one-on-one with you and a coach. You pay thousands of dollars for a certain tier, and you in turn will get, as we are talking about with you, Mackenzie, like you got to fine tune what you're going to focus on. Farts. That's what I'm investigating tonight. Or, marketing or my LinkedIn or my social media. But with all, like I said earlier, the competing factors, including, my putting on the dishwasher or running and getting the laundry, we got so much going on in our personal lives that how do you prioritize? And so with the help of this coach, and I think there's a team of coaches, I'm hiring them in order to figure out what's my goal? What's my what's my story? What's my purpose at 63 moving forward? And how am I marketing myself? How am I going to position myself with CEOs, with, like in your group, Chris, amazing networking. You're not spending your time with low level. I'm so sorry, because I am low level right now as an administrative assistant, temporary, but my sights are raised higher now. One thing that I've concluded with telling my story, and I'm trying to do an elevator speech, but it ends up being like a high rise, long elevator. And so what I've realized telling this story, and sometimes getting teared up with the highs and lows of life that we all have, is that you have different phases of life, and different things that you recognize are strengths and not so big strengths. I got fired from a job last week, a temp job, $21 an hour, day 6. The jerk of a attorney didn't let me go pee or take a lunch. Totally against the law. Totally against the law. But the lessons learned out of there, I talked to an old friend of mine, an attorney I worked with, who said to me on the phone, I'm having lunch with him next week. He goes, Nancy, you were the best administrative assistant I ever had. I said, Ed, stop it. You did all your travel arrangements. You did everything. I did nothing for you. And he goes, no, you picked up the phone for clients. You were professional. You were poised. Why are you looking at admin assistant jobs? You could run a firm with your HR background. You could. So that's where my journey will be with this other group, and with you, Chris, and your group, is to better define, where do I spend my time? Do I get a job after moving into my new place? I want to travel. My 95-year-old mom, I need to go visit more often than not. Drives me crazy, but okay, never mind. I need to be in control of my life. Mackenzie is a woman. We're pleasers. You're quite a bit younger than me, but I was raised to don't talk back. Don't, put up with the bad boss, put up with the cranky coworker, put up with bitchy women who are jealous of you. And I'm starting to speak up, and I'm starting to demand respect. And that's a hard thing for someone like me, who's an empath, who look at you, Chris, and Mackenzie, and understand you've got your own life stories and filters and other things that get in the way of us being able to hear each other.
Right. And this what comes up for me, because it's now, again, hit me like a ton of bricks. But I got to ask both of you ladies this, and I'll start with you, Mackenzie. Is the journey the very destination that we seek, or is it the destination that we've always been led to believe that we should actually go to? So Mackenzie, is the journey really the thing that we are seeking, not the destination?
That's profound.
Well, I think in our ego minds, we seek the destination. But in our soul, we know that we're seeking the journey of it all. And I've had to work on that myself, because I'm an ambitious person. I have goals. I have, a destination of things I want to create. And when things don't go exactly that way, or go my way, or they look different, it's taken me work to be able to flow with that and not keep resisting what is, right?
Yeah.
Because I was even thinking too, I've had a really rough year, and my business has plummeted because of really serious personal things going on right now. And
sorry to hear.
My confidence has been kind of shut down with it too, and then you go into the ego of it. You're like, what's wrong with me? Or like, what am I doing wrong?
Chris, you don't get it. You guys have iron steel egos, but women, we beat ourselves up.
We do. So I'm learning to be more embracive of the journey. Because when I look back, even just this conversation today, I have to laugh. I'm like, no one else has my journey talking about the Farting Dog Company, But, a lot of people have the cookie cutter corporate, they have more savings than I do, but I have an experience that no one else can replicate.
Correct.
So I have to appreciate that and have gratitude for that, knowing that there is an expansion in that process happening for me too.
So I missed it in the beginning. What is Soulchemy?
So it's an online platform for spiritual and professional development.
Oh, I think I joined or linked or did whatever I do. Okay.
Yes, so join me on my LinkedIn because I'm about to make some major upgrades and change some things around with my online presence. But if you join me on LinkedIn, you'll find all the stuff. So that would be the best place to
That's
go to.
very cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, once I reached out to Mackenzie and had that great and engaging conversation with her, I was like, Mackenzie, like I said,
Yes.
not only should you come share your story, you should be a part of bringing humanity together, because it really falls in line. Again, about that journey dynamic. But I want to go to you, Nancy, too, as well. Is the journey the destination that we seek, or is it the destination in and of itself that we've been led to believe that we actually should be fixated on? What's the thing that shows up for you in that?
What shows up to me in that is during the journey, I'm rediscovering who Nancy is,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I left my daughter's father and Seattle and the gray winter to go to Denver that's bright and sunny, and I have fabulous friends and lovers, and it's just at 63, who'da thunk I could reinvent myself. But more than reinvention, along with this rediscovery of who Nancy is with the help of therapy and my spiritual journey, has been a recognition that I've not been leading an authentic life.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in the 60s and 70s. I graduated from high school in 78. You guys are a lot younger than me. My parents were the greatest generation. My dad fought in World War II. My mom was a secretary, and I ate lunch at home. I walked from my elementary school. I mean, who'd ever do that these days?
Yeah.
Played in the street until Dad's whistle had us come in. So the bottom line is I followed the pattern, got married at 26, had my first kid at 30, my second one, they're Irish twins 15 months later, and worked, then dropped out of the workplace, volunteer, mom, etc. And my daughters, when I left their dad, and I literally drove away, I called it homeless on my Audi. I packed up my things and we separated, and he did everything to financially shut down and force me home. But I was one step ahead of him all the time. I'm a former banker. I walked into B of A, opened my own checking account, opened my own credit card. You're not going to force me home, dude. I know you love me, but this is not the way to try to reconcile a marriage that was already broken. And it breaks my heart. I have since learned through my attorney how many women my age are divorcing. They're stuck in stale relationships and in the thought that this is what getting old is, you know? So to answer your question, Chris, I think it's the journey that has us rediscover our passions and our goals and our what's important in life, and who to discard, because I've got a whole list of people who I felt like I had to prove myself to. And it's like, you guys, you either like me or you don't.
Right.
And in all my kookiness and all my potentially impulsiveness and enthusiasm, stick with me or just get out of my life. You're not going to change me anymore. I'm not going to do it, Mackenzie. I'm not. Nope.
Yeah. And on that note, Nancy, when we really know who we really are, and I truly believe that's a better question to ask, because we always have asked since the dawn of time of like, what do you do?
I know. Right.
Yeah. And that is what I truly believe. Once we get to know who people are and just accept it for who they are, not what we think them to be, what we have to, for them to be, that perception in our mind that they have to be these kind of people and everything like that. Again, I just live my life in this way. I just live by a life of intention. I do it from a place of flow. I'll do it from a place of alignment, and I'll do it from a place of agreement. And I'll give that opportunity to each person that I meet, because again, I'm recognizing in and of itself, not only through the power of discernment, but the power of awareness, that there are some people who are going to align with me. There's going to be some people who might just agree with me. There might be people who like to be both with me, that not only they're in alignment, but also in agreement. And that's one of the greatest gifts in and of itself, when we allow that to occur. But when we put it to them and put it on their timetable, not on ours, that changes the game because of that.
Doesn't it?
And I truly believe, ladies, when we do that, and we just keep it surprisingly simple for people, it's not a matter if they are joining us at work, or leading us, or being at the soccer game, or whatever the case may be. They will do that in their own due course of time, because everything happens for a reason. So, Mackenzie, I will give you the last final thoughts, and maybe even a call to action and everything. And I can't wait to have an offline conversation with both you ladies. So, Mackenzie, the floor is yours.
All right, just one final thought with that, because there's a quote that came up for me when we're talking about, living authentically and just sort of cutting the fat, I would say, in terms of what's not working for you, including people.
Yeah.
It's like, I think one of the things that sort of gets neglected in the process of like empowering people, being like, nope, I'm not going to stand for that and whatnot. The quote that came up for me is, when people show you who they are, believe them. And we spend so much time trying to change other people and how we think they should act or be. And it's like, you're never going to change anybody. And we waste so much of our time trying to change other people that, like, yeah, cut your own fat too. You know what I mean? And I think that's been a really big thing for me, is learning how to really believe people when they tell me who they are.
Yeah.
They show up.
I always want to believe in the best of them. And it's not about thinking poorly of them. It's just discerning that's who they are. So
right.
I'm going to leave it at that.
I love that. I love that.
But in terms of call to action, I would welcome anyone to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm hanging out. But also TikTok is my big hangout too. So that's where I post all the good spiritual stuff. And you can find my handle at MacFlick. Should I comment that or anything? MacFlick, or how should I?
I'm not on TikTok. I don't want the Chinese government snooping.
So MacFlick. But I welcome anyone who is ready to do the deep healing work and really be able to up-level yourselves in ways that you never would have imagined. You're welcome to book a session with me. I offer both hypnotherapy sessions as well as past life healing. Wow. So the hypnotherapy, just to be clear, that is not past life related. A lot of people associate with that.
No.
That's idea is to get to the root, the cause, and the reason for specific issues in your life. So whether that's physical, emotional, or mental, you can handle it all. But past life is run a little bit differently. I do all the intuitive work where we take a look at specific karmic patterns and blocked energies that are holding you up, and we get all that stuff cleared. So you can find all that good information on my LinkedIn. Get you links for that too.
Absolutely. So ladies and gentlemen, please connect not only to Mackenzie, but also connect with Nancy, and I'll put their profiles in our call today. And it's been a great and engaging conversation, ladies. And I was like, I would, this is what this call is meant to do, is to bring people together and everything like that. And yes, we can have a laugh every now and then and everything like that. Even maybe come up with a great idea about how I can donate a fart today, and I truly believe sometimes it'll just take off in and of itself. And again, the journey matters, and I truly believe the journey that we're on can really lead into so many other different opportunities and possibilities when we believe not only in the power of positivity, but believe in the power of possibilities, when we can be united by the one thing that interconnects us all, which is our humanity. So again, ladies, thank you so much for being on today's call. Mackenzie, I want to talk to you for a couple minutes.
You bet. I'll drop off.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great day. Make it your day. And see you guys for the next conversation for humanity.
Sounds good. Look.